Jared Cannonier, the Killa Gorilla, is back and ready to get into the win column in 2024. To do that, he will take on the surging Caio Borralho, someone who is undefeated since joining the promotion in 2022. The 40-year-old Cannonier had a fight in June at the KFC Yum Center in Louisville, Kentucky, a very good back-and-forth matchup with Nassourdine Imavov, a fellow top 10 middleweight. We saw them pretty much have a stand-up kickboxing match until the fourth round, 1 minute and 34 seconds in, when Nassourdine Imavov got a standing TKO finish over Jared Cannonier. Now, many would say, including myself, that was a bit of a controversial stoppage, a very early stoppage at that from Jason Herzog. So Jared Cannonier made quick to go on the Ariel Helwani MMA show. At least that's what the show was known as. We know the switch up that Ariel has made coming into the fall. If you haven't, be sure to check that out on social media. But in that interview with Ariel, he made it clear how upset he was by getting that opportunity taken away from him too early by the referee, and said he wanted to get right back in there, right on the horse, and get a victory before the end of the year. And now he has that opportunity, but it will not be a rematch against Nassourdine Imavov. Instead, the UFC went two separate ways, pairing Imavov up against Brendan Allen, someone else on a big win streak, and Jared Cannonier against a very dangerous younger up-and-comer, Caio Borralho. Now, Jared has only fought twice, dating back to June 17th of 2023 when he got a victory over Marvin Vettori. Prior to that, he fought in December of 2022 when he beat former champion Sean Strickland. So he has won two of his last three fights. The only loss prior to this stretch was in a championship matchup against Israel Adesanya. Because let us not forget, Jared Cannonier did not start at 185. He didn't even start at light heavyweight. He started his UFC run many moons ago in the heavyweight division, one of only a few select fighters to have knockouts in three different weight classes. Since joining 185 pounds, however, he's had his best run of things with a 7-3 record, victories over numerous ranked opponents, big name fighters. Now he needs to bounce back against a matchup style that he hasn't really had to worry about before. The 31-year-old Borralho is 16-1 with one no contest, and since joining the UFC in 2022 has went 6-0, most recently with a finish over Paul Craig at UFC 301, a knockout in the second round. Caio is a two-fight veteran during the 2021 season of Dana White Contender Series. Both of those were victories, however. One of those circumstances where he got a victory, they wanted to see more from him, brought him back, and then he made a statement with a first-round TKO in his second matchup. During his 6-fight UFC run, he has 4 fights that have gone the distance where he's won a decision and 2 via finish. We talked about the one versus Paul Craig, and he also submitted Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. He went 3-0 in 2022, 2-0 in 2023, and now will look to go 2-0 in 2024. Caio, sitting at number 12 in the middleweight division, has kind of done it silently, right? I mean, he has big wins against notable opponents, don't get me wrong, but there's just something about him and his team over at the Fighting Nerds. They kind of just slide by the wayside, and then when they fight, they make noise. And now, no bigger opportunity has presented itself to Caio than this one right here against a former title challenger and a current top 5 opponent in Jared Cannonier. And it's an interesting fight stylistically because, as I just said, Jared Cannonier hasn't really fought anyone in terms of a rise such as Caio, but also stylistically for the X's and O's as well, because Caio wants this fight to be on the ground and he wants to utilize his excellent Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to ride out a confident decision or get a finish down on the mat. Really, the only opponent in recent memory that has had a semi-similar style in terms of grappling, or I guess not even style, but a strength in the term of grappling, would be Nassourdine Imavov. But I already said they pretty much had a 24-minute, or however long the fight went into the fourth round, kickboxing matchup. There wasn't a ton of grappling exchanges there, a few clinch, sequences here throughout that 4-round fight, but nothing that went to the ground for a significant amount of time. Here, Jared absolutely should be prepared to head to the mat multiple times. But if Jared can fend off takedowns, or if he can get up off of his back after getting taken down, I think that will say a lot, and it would mean that Caio would have a very big test because he's been able to pretty easily beat many of these opponents throughout his UFC run with his wrestling, with his grappling, with his jiu-jitsu. If he can't utilize those skills here against Jared, how will he fare on the feet against someone who, again, has knockouts in 3 UFC weight classes? This is big right now because the middleweight division is really churning. We just saw the title fight last week where Dricus du Plessis defended against Israel Adesanya. We have the number 5 Jared Cannonier versus the number 12 Caio Borralho. We have Brennan Allen taking on Nassourdine Imavov. We have Robert Whittaker taking on Khamzat Chimaev. It's all moving. The puzzle pieces are coming together for the 185-pound division. Fresh faces, fresh challengers for the champion, Dricus du Plessis. New matchups here throughout the remainder of the rankings. It is a very good time to be a fan of the middleweight division. Statements are going to be made over the course of the next couple of months to finish off 2024. Who do you think will make the statement in this main event slot here? Will it be Jared Cannonier getting back in the win column at 40 years young, or will it be Caio Borralho extending his UFC record to 7-0? None would be bigger than this one right here against Cannonier. Next, we will move into the co-main event of the evening where we will have 2 top 15 women's strawweights going up against one another, Angela Hill and Tabatha Baby Shark Ricci. The 39-year-old 9th-ranked Angela Hill is not ready to hang up the gloves just yet. She's actually won 4 of her last 5 fights, entering this one against Tabatha Ricci, who currently sits 2 spots behind her at number 11. And if you look at this level of competition, it's not like Angela's just beating nobodies to hold her claim here in the rankings. Her last victory was a finish over Luana Pinheiro, the first submission of Angela's entire career and first finish in the UFC since January of 2020. She also has victories over Denise Gomes, Emily Ducote, and Lupi Godinez. The only loss out of those 5 is to Mackenzie Dern. That was last May over the course of a 25-minute decision. And for the Baby Shark, ever since debuting in June of 2021, she's secured a record of 5-2 thus far. The only losses was a debut fight against Manon Fiorot and Lupi Godinez last November, but she has already bounced back this year with a victory over Tisha Pennington, albeit very close, split decision in May. She also holds victories over Jillian Roberson, a finish of Jessica Penne, Poliana Viana, and a decision victory over Maria Oliveira. Baby Shark will enter this fight 10 years younger than Angela Hill with 12 total fights, a 10-2 record, so a decent amount, a disadvantaged, if you will, in terms of the experience, especially if you want to talk the level of competition throughout their experiences of both of these women. I'm excited for this fight because Tabatha can get the biggest win of her career so far, put herself into the top 10 of the rankings. Angela Hill can look to continue this momentum and maybe, just maybe, work herself toward getting her first ever UFC title shot. I'm just saying, it's not that out of the realm of possibility. And as for the rest of the card, I do just want to highlight some other fights that I believe could be very fun. One of them being Neil Magny and Michael Morales. Morales is an undefeated 16-0 from Ecuador, very young, surging right now in the UFC. Neil Magny, the ultimate gatekeeper, and I mean that in a respectful term. We saw him play spoiler to another surging prospect in Mike Malott earlier this year. Can he do it a second time? Edmen Shahbazyan is taking on Gerald Meerschaert, a fight that is sure to not see the judges' scorecards. Dennis Buzukja and Francis Marshall is a low-key banger in this fight card as well. Zachary Reese is back, and he's taking on Jose Medina, another fight that could be violent. Slava Claus is back, taking on James Llontop. And Jacqueline Cavalcanti is taking on Josiane Nunes, who comes into every fight undersized but ready to knock her opponent's heads off. Give me your predictions for UFC Vegas 96 in the comments below. The main event, sure. The co-main event, yes. But your thoughts on the rest of the card as well. Another one of those Apex cards that may not jump off the paper at you in terms of name value. However, there's always going to be fights that are very good and deliver for the fans. Let me know which ones you think that will be on this upcoming card. If you enjoyed this preview, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Every week I break down the biggest storylines, what is at stake for the biggest fights, every single fight card. I recap the most meaningful results, and I give my thoughts and opinions on MMA news and fight announcements. You can join the community on social media at the BAJ MMA and follow along on your favorite audio platforms such as Spotify and Apple. Podcast episodes released there every Friday and Monday. Have a great weekend. Enjoy all of the fights because yes, we have UFC and we have the PFL, and I will see you in the next video.